Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to the second session in the Global Art and Design Education Expo. I see some faces that I saw earlier this morning, but for some of you who are new, welcome once again to the Expo. I hope you're having a good time. So we have a fantastic session lined up for you here today. OMG, this is a panel on game discussion, on game design, right? And we've got with us some really experienced people from the industry to come and share their knowledge and their information with you. So we'll start with a small discussion, and then of course we keep the floor open for question and answers. So if you have any questions, please save them and we'll definitely take them up. So joining me today, let me start with my panelist on the left. First, we have Shreyas. Shreyas is a technical artist with Ink Games. Ink Games is based in Austin, Texas. Then we have VK Samit. He's the founder and CEO of Born Monkey Studio. Again, he's had really good experience in the industry, worked across all platforms and the entire process in the gaming industry, the entire process. We'll talk more about that. And then we have Samir. Samir is with Monkey Fox Studios. He's a game designer. And I think in that sense, we got a really eclectic panel sitting here. So firstly, thanks everyone. Thank you guys for making it here. Yeah. Why don't we start the discussion, okay, by looking at, let me ask you this. There are a lot of students here who are thinking about joining the gaming industry, being part of it in some way, but how would they know if it's the right choice for them? Can you just, talk about that?
Hello everyone. So let's see. I think the best answer that I can come up right now and say is like everyone in this industry that I've actually worked with and all that, whenever they wake up in the morning and they are like, let's make something good. I can't wait to get back to work. I can't wait to implement this thing and all. It's a very passion-driven industry, and very few of them have this immense job satisfaction once they do it. And I am fortunate to be a part of this, and this would be a great thing to recommend to the future folks also. It's like, yeah, if you ever feel like you are ever getting bored or monotone in this 9 to 5 serious jobs, this is the perfect industry to come aboard. Like always, you get to make something that never existed before and implement and dream wide.
Hello. Yeah. So I would say, if so the question was,
How do they know if it's the right choice for them?
Yeah. So anyone who is creatively charged, or people who want to do something creative, right? So this is the culmination. Video games are the culmination of all the art forms that exist today. So it is at the top of all entertainment, right? Everything combined. So even if you are a traditional actor, you have place in video game industry. Even if you're a voice actor, you have place in the video game industry. Let's say you're a musician, you have a role for that. So anything creatively, if you're a creatively charged person, I think this industry has some sort of role for that. And if you are someone who likes to play God, this is the greatest industry for you, because you get to create worlds, which is like the best thing you could do, apart from any sort of creation. Like you build a lot of stuff, you could build buildings, you could build machines and whatnot, but this is the only industry where you get into your own creation, interact with your own creation and feel something. So movies do that to an extent, but they don't immerse you as much as games. So I would say this industry is for you if you are someone who likes to create something, who doesn't want to who doesn't want to fit into like a square box, who's always out of the box. You'll find something in this industry that is fun for you.
Yeah, just to add to that as well, you guys have now heard as to what is great about the industry. Now to figure out as to whether you should join it or not, there's a very simple test. If you want to join the gaming industry, how much of your time is spent playing games?
24?
Then this is probably a good fit for you. So that is your first clue out there, right? Yeah, because like they've said, even though this industry is eclipsing other industries, it is not the 9 to 5 job you'd want to get into. It is very passion driven because it's also a very volatile and intense environment to work in. So the fact that you actually like doing this, you get up every day thinking about doing this, is something that is a very powerful factor when choosing if you want to get into the stream or not. Yeah, I think we've covered that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think everyone out there needs to do some soul searching to understand what is it that is your calling. And I think it's a cliche phrase that all of us have heard before, but it does hold true. That if you really enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't feel so much as work. You may still be working, but you enjoy it more, and therefore following your passion always makes sense. So, Samit, when you were speaking, I was also noticing that you were actually talking a little bit about the paths, and there are so many roles and so many different pathways that people can explore in the gaming industry. See, when you have students sitting here in the audience, some of them have an idea, but some of them may not have a complete perspective of the different diverse roles that exist within the gaming industry. So could you maybe help us with that?
So there are three principal disciplines in video game production, right? So you have design that is sitting at the center, you have art, and you have tech. So design obviously involves game design. This involves narrative design. This involves level design. This involves there are new roles that are coming up that are for engagement. There is engagement design, that is they make sure your retention is good, they make sure all the loops are there. So there are new roles popping up based on the evolution of the industry, like free to play, created monetization designers, economic designers. Economic designers were already there, but monetization was like a new thing that especially evolved because of free to play. So that is design, and we have art. I think art is something that is familiar for everyone. You do a lot of modeling, texturing, rigging, animation, making sure that they work in the game. That comes technical. That kind of is a mix between technical and art. That is a new thing. Obviously, it has been there forever, but the role prominently is now coming out as a technical artist is pretty new. And then we have tech, which is purely programming, right? So obviously, you can you're a system design, you're a system programmer, you're a gameplay programmer. You could be doing mechanics and whatnot. So these are all different, roles across the board. But I would say the hierarchy is design first. So anything that art is supposed to do, anything that tech is supposed to do is driven by the game director. So the game director once decides with the design team, and design team is responsible to communicate it with the rest of the leads, and then it trickles down into all these different roles. So game design, I would say, is like the most important. If you get that team right, you could have a mediocre, art team and dev team. You could still do wonders. So these are all the different roles. I think these guys can also add to that.
Yeah, it'll be really nice, maybe you can also add.
Sure, guys. So I'm a trained designer as well, and it's kind of esoteric, the design role, because usually it's the connective tissue to the other branches. Art is easy enough to understand, dev is easy enough to understand. So I'd just like to give you guys another allegory for what designers are. Consider the field of architecture. A designer could be considered the architect. He doesn't have the technical knowledge of an engineer who actually builds the design. He doesn't have the artistic knowledge of the interior designer who will actually put in the colors and whatnot. But he is a person who understands a fundamental plan and comes up with the plan of a system that will work. But unfortunately, as important as this person is, as a designer, I have very little technical skills. Most of my skills are done in documentation. My technical skills are Excel and Word. Right? So without a good team, there's not a lot I can do. But like Samita said, design is vital, and everything starts at design, and then it flows down from there. Yeah, and I think we have a technical artist here as well. So it goes design, art, dev. I've given you guys a good example of what design is. Maybe I'll pass it on to the artist, and then the dev can take it.
Sure.
Yeah. So building up on VK's and Sameer's point, yes, as a designer, let me put it from your perspective. You're starting out right now. You don't know which part to pick. Like, let's say if you're good at communicating a lot and really do not want to worry about what the engine does, and like how do I implement this in the engine, how do I draw it, and like visually how do I conceptualize it. Design is the right path. Now if you are of the mindset who can, the artistic mindset with extremely meticulous attention to detail and all that, an art stream would be a great thing. And dev is basically like, yeah, I can implement whatever features that we come up with, something like that. There's a hybrid field as well called as technical art, who is basically a bridge between art, engineering, and design. If a designer comes up with, let's say, like one of the most craziest ideas, is this thing actually possible? You would have to bring in artists and engineers to have an actual communication. But sometimes artists do not understand designers, and artists do not understand engineers. And the same way goes for engineers do not understand artists' perspective, and you need somebody as a mediator who can step into all the territories but leave the polish and everything to subject matter experts. That is where a technical artist also comes through. There's also a fourth role which is very, very important for the industry, which is actually heavily underlooked. It's called production. Like, let me put it this way. India does not really have many production roles, and that is something that I would absolutely love to see, because having a good producer will make sure like you will actually ship your games on time and meet your deadlines and have everything running through. So depending on whatever is your skill set, whatever is your this thing, that like choose like any one of these four paths. Now if you're starting as a designer, design is extremely broad. As VK said, like you can go into the most broadest territories. I would highly recommend start out as a level designer, because it covers many aspects of actual design, like encounter design, like your placement, your enemy pathing stuff, your tension curves, and all the other things. You cover a very broad aspect of the entire scope of design, then branch out. So as for me, I did my engineering and then did my level designs in masters, but I am working as a technical artist because I covered many domains that is easier to communicate across multiple departments. So depending on whatever floats your boat. If you're trying to start out as a designer, I would recommend start out as a level designer. Understand what makes things work, what design actually means. And as Samir said, if you want to be a game designer, note you will only work in Excel and Word. That's it. You will never touch the engine or anything else.
I'm not allowed.
True, that too.
Yeah. I think some really nice diverse perspectives, and thanks for that, guys. I was listening to what you all were saying, and there were two things that I noticed. One, when you're not talking about the gaming industry, the different roles, it really sounds like a full-blown movie, right? So there's a director, and there's an artist, and all of that. So the different elements of that, except it's happening in the virtual space. And the second thing that I noticed is that the end product, which is the game, is really a result of a collaborative effort between different professionals working together cohesively, working towards an output. And then there's, of course, producer side who will say, guys, this has to ship out in 10 days. So that's where the sleeping nights come in, that's where the crazy deadlines come in, and I can understand that. So a lot of young people here are actually thinking, this seems like a really interesting industry. How do I start? And what should I do? So, it'll be really interesting if you could comment on that.
Well, the best answer is just jump right into it. And there's no easy way to literally immerse yourself with the actual stuff that you're doing. Fail, keep failing, and keep moving forward. That's a great way. Yes, education helps you, trained by the actual right professionals in the right way also helps you, but you'll understand why things, if you understand why things do not work, you'll understand why things will work.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, guys, there is one very important point here. The easiest way to get good at something is by doing it. This is unanimous in every field. This is not specific to gaming, right? So if you want to become a better designer, the best way to do that is writing design documents. The best way to become a better artist is by making art. The best way to become a developer is by developing games. There's no easy way around it. Now you can always put yourself in environments that make this better, which is where college comes in. because now you're surrounded by people with the same goals. But at the end of the day, yeah, like Shreya said, I just want to hammer in that point. Doing is how you learn. Like there's no easy way around it. Yeah, if you had anything else.
I would say if you are looking for, let's say, programming roles, try to pick up, programming from YouTube. It's pretty accessible at this point. Make a lot of prototypes. Right now the industry works on a portfolio basis, right? So they don't care where you studied, they don't care how long you studied. All they care is what's good in your portfolio. So make sure you have a rock solid portfolio or a portfolio to begin with, right? So you need to, let's say if you're a game designer, go make some levels in maybe Minecraft. Do some level design in Minecraft. That's pretty accessible. You don't need to open an engine. Now we have Fortnite engine as well. You could mod as well, right? So a lot of great game designers started out being modders. So a lot of ways that you could enter in a way, like in a sense that you don't have to do a job, right? You could still do this while you're studying at a art college or while you're studying at a engineering college or whatnot. So try to get into an engine or a game or whatnot, and try to change things around. Try to see if you can make something out of it. So portfolio is number one. You can get into the industry by just showing, hey, I made these 3 games. They are crappy, but they still work. So that is good enough. You could do one more thing. You could get an internship at your nearest college, or now everyone is moving remote, right? You could get a remote internship. Internships are a great way to get into the industry. You put your foot into the industry right away. Obviously, you get paid low because you don't know much, right? But still, the amount of knowledge that you'll get if you're part of a live project is I think is the most valuable thing, even more valuable than what education will give you. So these two I think are essential, I would say, for you to get into the industry. Also, it would also tell you if this is an industry for you. So this is like a test run for you. So let's say you started making game and you're not having a good time, then that's not for you. Good, you figured out something, right? You figured out what you're supposed to do, or what you like and what you don't like. So I would say, as Samir has pointed out, make something, build something that kind of puts you in the industry by default.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, and I like something that Samir said also, that feedback about going out there, doing something, getting your hands dirty, doing something hands-on, doing an internship is the best way to learn in any discipline actually, whether it's product design, industrial design, game design, fashion. No matter what your area of interest, the more you expose yourself to doing something, the more you try doing something, there's a huge learning curve, and of course it helps you to work towards a portfolio. You wanted to add something?
Yeah, just one important point about internships. The hours might seem hard and the pay might not seem much, but you have to think of it as this way. People are paying you to become a better designer or developer or something like that. It's a learning experience. Think about college. It's the other way around. Right, so the moment you graduate, things get significantly better because you start earning money for people to teach you to become better at your job. So the internship level is actually a great place to learn because not a lot is expected from you, and there's endless opportunity of growth. Because who knows who you could end up with in which company, right? Like you will find your first mentors, your first true mentors, if not in college, in your first internships. So yeah, I just wanted to add that point in.
Yeah, it's a very valid point, and also the attitude that you bring to the internship makes such a big difference. So you don't want to do an internship at a very surface level. You want to be curious, you want to be a sponge, absorb. There are so many people in that environment who can contribute, who can teach you. So the more you learn and the more proactively you say, sir, madam, please give me more work, I'm happy to take it on. That will allow you to really experience growth.
I just wanted to add, how many of you have seen Last of Us on HBO? So the creative director Neil Druckmann was an intern at Naughty Dog 15 years ago. So now he's the director of 2 big games, Last of Us and Last of Us 2. He's directed Uncharted 4 as well. So an internship can lead you to be a director at one point. So imagine the possibilities are endless if you are paying attention to your job.
adding one more point to what VK said before, that's a great place where you can learn. Playing games is different from making games. And just because you like watching a movie doesn't mean that you want to make a movie. The same way, just because you like playing a game doesn't mean that you want to play a game. So if you feel like this is not the right thing, this is a great place to understand that, okay, yes, this makes things much clearer.
All right, so now people have taken one step, they've started, all right, and let's say they've even gone for a course and they've graduated and are working. But not everyone succeeds or survives. So that brings me to my next question. How do you survive? And let's take a positive spin on that. How do you thrive? So I want to really join the industry and I want to be successful. So what should I do?
Okay, so yes, this is something I even told to some of the folks that I met previously. Two main points basically. The first point is always be ready to learn. Like the sheer amount of growth this industry is going with is exceptional. We learn so many things on day-to-day basis. I mean, if you say I'm done with it, I'm not going to pick up this new technique or skill or update myself, you won't last long. Seriously. Always be on the edge of your seat and be eager to learn more. And the second point, let me try to phrase it more this way. Do not be afraid to kill your babies, which basically means anything that you come up with is going down the drain. This is something that is unanimous. Projects get cancelled, designs get scrapped out, your artwork gets tossed out. And yes, we put our heart and soul into it and it carries a lot of weight in us, but the more you understand that anything that you make will not get to see the light at the end of the day, the more you last in this industry longer. And it hurts, I know, we all felt it, but yes, it is something that you have to brace yourself moving forward.
I mean, I've had my share of people who quit on their difficult days. So game development is pretty difficult to begin with because you're collaborating with like so many people, and anything can go wrong and it can become frustrating. So I would say you need to have the same mentality that you have as a gamer, right? You play a Valorant match with your friends. You don't end the night without a win.
You don't have
Yeah. So same attitude if you could show in your career, I would say you'll live to tell another tale. So make sure you put the same kind of attitude. You are in the game industry. Try to gamify your life, I would say. So obviously I'm not sugarcoating it. Game development is difficult, but the amount of satisfaction you would get once your game is launched, played by millions of people, or let's say few people, but you have good reviews. Your people who are saying they felt something. That kind of satisfaction is very rare in industries across the board, right? So you get to put out something that scales and reaches a lot of people. So putting that in your head, right? If you are trying to reach that finish line, I think all that suffering, at least you could get a good sleep at night, right? So making sure someday it will get appreciated. So that is the reason why I sleep better. So you'll have, in order to thrive, make sure that you're not ending your night at a loss, right? So make sure you're learning something. The industry changes, the tools are changing. Today's engine is not tomorrow's engine. There are new stuff coming up. Whatever, even the professionals who've programmed for the last 20 years are learning something new now. How have their jobs are being replaced by AI? So make sure one, you're willing to learn new things. Two, you're motivated by the satisfaction of the end result. That kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, I'm also going to get a little dark before we bring out the positive spin to it, but it should be hammered in the point because it's quite important here. Most games don't make it. If you open the Steam page right now and see how many games come out per day, and then think about how many games you play in your life, right? You play 3 to 4 games. 3 to 4 games are coming out every hour on Steam. So it's very hard to first even get a game down to market, and then it's a totally other ball game for that game to be successful. Point that. So, and there are multiple failure points along the way. This is why it relates back to the first thing Shreya said. If you're not the kind of guy who gets up in the morning going like, I'm going to create something, at some point burnout is going to get to you. At some point at your 13th failed game, you are going to give up. But again, as VK says, a very fundamental gamer mentality is you don't end the night on a loss. Sure, it might be 4 a.m. you are working an hour, but you will get that win, right? So if you still have that determination and drive, it will probably get you through most things, right? The positive spin on this is even though games don't work out, your portfolio still builds up, your skills still build up. Every failed project leaves you a better designer as long as you did not quit, right? So every project that doesn't work out, as long as you're still in there looking for that win, you will be a better person every project that comes forth. So just want to put it out there. It's rough to get into, but it is incredibly rewarding if you stick it out.